Yo, what is going on, Jets Nation? And welcome back to the Jets Media Podcast. And we will be breaking down everything you need to know about these New York Jets taking on the New York Giants this Sunday. The trade deadline is also approaching. There's a lot of rumors around the NFL and the New York Jets heading into the trade deadline. I am joined by my co-host, Jack, as usual. What's going on, Jack?
What up, man? I'm excited for this one. Loving the new Thursday pods. And we got the freaking Jets-Giants to talk about, baby. The Olympics of New York football is here. Once every 4 years, we get to experience this. The Jets have come out on top in the last two matchups, folks.
Let's go.
So let's hope we can make it a three-peat here against the New York Giants this Sunday at 1 o'clock. It feels kind of good to have a game at 1 o'clock again.
Yeah, it's the first 1 o'clock game since the New England Patriots game. I'm excited. We're going to be live for the game, of course, here on the Jets Media YouTube channel. Whether you're watching this on YouTube or you're listening to us on the podcast, we greatly appreciate that, guys. Reminder, this is a pre-recorded video, so if you're watching the premiere right now, do us a gigantic favor. Simply hit that thumbs up button and subscribe to the channel. We are this close to hitting 20,000 subscribers here on Jets Media, and I would greatly appreciate that, guys, if you can subscribe to the channel. And also, please click the links down below in the description and support our podcast in audio form on Apple Podcasts and Spotify and give us a rating. We would greatly appreciate that. Jack and I really try to build this Jets Media Podcast, not only here on YouTube, but also in audio format on Apple and Spotify. Now, let's get straight into business because there's a lot of stuff that I want to break down in today's podcast because, again, we're fresh off the bye. There's a lot of things that happened across the division that we broke down on Monday. There's a Thursday night football game tonight within the division. Buffalo Bills taking on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And the Jets fans are sitting at a high right now, right? We didn't have to have any stress this past weekend. We got to watch the Dolphins and the Bills lose and the Jets not lose, right? And that's really what it comes down to it. And we can all agree that the division is open for grabs, but it starts on Sunday for these New York Jets. The first game, they're actually favored to win this season. So with that being said, man, I feel like the first thing we have to talk about is the injury news and anything regarding these New York Jets. I think that Sauce Gardner and DJ Reed are trending towards playing. Now, as we're recording this, they are still in concussion protocol, but Sauce Gardner and DJ Reed both fully participated in practice, which is a good sign. Brennan Eccles is also trending to be back with a hamstring. Also, the rookie defensive back, Jarek Bernard-Converse, who have not seen anything of all throughout the summer and training camp, he's activated. So he's on the New York Jets active roster. So that's another piece added to the secondary. So, Jack, what's your overall thoughts of the matchup against the Giants from the secondary perspective if Sauce and DJ Reed are back or even if they're not back? And what do you expect from the depth?
Listen, man, I mean, we saw it against the Philadelphia Eagles. These depth players absolutely stepped up and played out of their minds and freaking shut it the hell down, especially in the second half of that football game, which is, a trend for this Jets defense, not just the secondary, but this Jets defense shuts it down in the second half. So I'm expecting to see some of that this week. But as far as, these depth players, man, even without, Sauce Gardner and DJ Reed, guys like Craig James, Tay Hayes, Bryce Hall stepped up, played phenomenal. Michael Carter II, who's obviously not a depth player. He's a starter, but he's a starting slot guy. He's a starting nickel. He was forced to go play outside and, play one-on-one against A.J. Brown and stuff like that and absolutely held his own. So completely, over the top impressed by that entire group based on their performance against the Philadelphia Eagles. And, you'd like to think if Sauce Gardner and DJ Reed are ready to go, combined with the I guess I'll say lack of talent that the Giants have at the wide receiver position. We should be in business here. We should be in business even without Sauce Gardner and DJ Reed, although they're both trending towards playing. Brandon Eccles as well, which is big for special teams, as Irv Charles is now kind of nursing a little shoulder injury of his own. So we'll see what if anything develops on that front. But I'm expecting a big day from these guys, man. Sauce Gardner and DJ Reed, if they're ready to go, I'm expecting a big day. I'm expecting them to show out. And we'll obviously get more into the Jets-Giants matchup. But I think now that the gauntlet of the first 6 games of the schedule is over, man, now it's really time for this Jets team to go out there and prove who they are. Because we've shown the league that we can beat, teams that we are heavy underdogs against. We've beaten the Bills. We've beaten the Philadelphia Eagles. We were right there against the Kansas City Chiefs. But now it's time to beat the teams that we're supposed to beat. So I could argue that this is even this is an even bigger challenge for this Jets defense and this Jets team as a whole, because let's go out there and prove to the league that we can beat the teams that we're supposed to beat, that we can play at a high level when we're supposed to and when we need to. Let's freaking get it going.
Yeah,
I'm excited,
and
man.
Again, this is the first time the Jets are favored the entire season.
So we need to show people why we're favorites.
We weren't even favorites against the Broncos, right? So, like, this is the first time the Jets are expected to win their football game. And you look at the Giants, talk about their matchup with the Washington Commanders on Sunday. That was a division game at home. It seems like Tyrod Taylor will be the quarterback for the Giants in this one, and I don't really care who's the quarterback. Tyrod Taylor, Daniel Jones, doesn't matter. Got to win this game either way. But you can argue that Tyrod Taylor kind of brings the Giants more of a calmness and a less of a turnover-prone quarterback, and he's a veteran. He knows where the ball needs to go. And if you look at Tyrod Taylor's career, he just doesn't turn the ball over. So the Jets can't rely on a defense to force 2, 3, or 4 turnovers to win this football game. I really think that it's time for the offense to get things cooking. But on the flip side of things, the one thing that's going in the Giants' favor as of late is their defense. Their defense with Wink Martindale is finding their groove. Leonard Williams up the middle with Dexter Lawrence as one of the top 2, interior defensive linemen. Kayvon Thibodeau in year 2 is breaking out. They got a rookie corner in Deonte Banks, who is really is a stud right now, first-round pick for the Giants. Jason Pinnock out there at safety, who we all know as a former Jet. So their defense is playing very, very good football as of late, and they're a defense that loves to send blitzes. They love to confuse quarterbacks. They're a type of defense. So it's going to be a really big test for this Jets offense to finally catch their rhythm. But the one part of their defense that I think the Jets got to take advantage of is against the run. I think that this is a Breece Hall type of game. We need to see Breece Hall pound the rock and also get him involved in the pass attack. And, just speaking about Breece Hall real quick, Jack, I want to see the New York Jets use Breece Hall like the San Francisco 49ers use Christian McCaffrey. Use him as a weapon, not just a running back. Get him involved through the passing attack, which they were doing against the Eagles. It's not like they haven't been doing this, but I want to see more design slip screens to Breece Hall, little angle routes over the middle of the field, and just get Breece Hall the ball in any way possible. He's your most talented player when the ball's in your hands. Feed Breece, and of course, you got to give Garrett Wilson the ball as well. But the X factor for this Jets offense is going to continuously be the scoring in the red zone. Can they finally capitalize? Can they punch the ball through the end zone? And that really starts on Sunday. There's no excuse for this Jets offense to not get 2 or 3 touchdowns in this game, and that's what really comes down to. If they can start scoring touchdowns, this Jets team is arguably unbeatable. I'm not going to say we're going to win 11 straight games if we start scoring touchdowns offensively, but that's the only thing it feels like that's holding this Jets football team back from being elite.
I mean, dude, just look at the way this defense balls out every single week, regardless of who we're playing. You look back at it, against the Chiefs, against the Broncos, against the Eagles. I know we won those 2 latter games, the Broncos and the Eagles. But if even half of those field goals were touchdowns and not field goals, we would have beat the Eagles by 2 scores.
Yeah.
We would have beat the Broncos by 3 scores. So, absolutely red zone efficiency is priority number 1. I'm glad you mentioned Breece Hall, man, because we got to see Breece Hall be the guy. We know he's got the talent. We know he's got the desire to be that guy. And I like the way you put that, man. That's some good wording there. Use him as a weapon, not just a running back. Find any way possible to get the ball into this guy's hands, whether it's, handing it off, whether it's tossing it, whether it's, getting him involved in the screen game, whether it's having him, run a little out route or a little route over the middle, get him the ball with some space. Because I agree with you, man. In terms of, having the ball in their hands, Breece Hall is the best player on this team. He's with the football in his hands, he is the most dangerous player we have. And I got to put Garrett Wilson right under him. But absolutely, man, the way you put it as well with the Giants defense. Let's exploit their weakness here. Let's run the ball down their throat. We know they struggle more against the run than they do against the pass. So I'm excited to see, what kind of game plan Hackett has in terms of, unleashing Breece Hall, man. Feed Breece Hall. Breece the Beast, Breece Lightning, freaking feed that man.
And now we're seeing, finally he's off the pitch count against the Broncos. He had that 170-yard game. Then we go up against one of the best running defenses in the league against the Eagles. Breece Hall doesn't really able to find his rhythm. He does score a touchdown in that game, but the Jets used him more as a weapon, as a pass catcher than out of the backfield, which is very smart by Hackett, knowing that the Eagles are really stout against the run. So this is one of those games where, if we can just really establish a run game with Breece Hall, this Jets football team is going to be hard to beat. And you talk about the injuries, there's a lot of injuries, unfortunately, to talk about on the the offensive line. Rookie Joe Tippmann at right guard is still dealing with a thigh injury. Luckily, it doesn't seem like it's severe enough to, miss the season or anything like that. And according to Robert Saleh, he's a fast healer. But if I had to guess, I do not see Joe Tippmann playing in this game. I just don't know. I'm not there. I don't see him on practice, but he's not practicing yesterday. I don't know if he's going to be practicing today yet. We have not seen the injury report, but it's going to be Wes Schweitzer out there at right guard and Max Mitchell at right tackle. And the one thing that we've seen from Max Mitchell that I got optimism for is his rushing ability, run blocking at right tackle, pass protection, not so much. And then, of course, left tackle, Mekhi Becton, Lincoln Tomlinson. The left side's been great this season, but the right side's really up in the air. So they got to make sure they ground and pound the ball with Breece Hall. And then, of course, that transitions into the quarterback and Zach Wilson. And we talked about Zach Wilson all throughout the bye week. We're impressed with the small little improvements, right? But there's still a level to his game that needs to just grow, and that's scoring touchdowns and being more efficient in the red zone, right? He's not turning the ball over. He's efficient with his reads. But at the end of the day, there's still some missed opportunities for him to capitalize on. And there's a lot of things that, he needs to fix, right? Not holding the ball too long, preventing the sacks. Because if you talk about a game where he needs to get rid of the ball quick, it's this one. There's going to be a lot of exotic blitzes because Wink Martindale, the defensive coordinator for the Giants, what he's going to do is show the same type of package, crowd in the line of scrimmage all game long, and he's going to show the same package, and then this play, they're going to drop back in coverage. This play is going to send an all-out blitz to the right side. This play is going to send all-out blitz to the left side. So it's hard to really study the Giants' defense on film because what Wink does such a great job at is showing the same look every single time throughout the game, so you don't know what to expect is coming. So Zach has to get rid of the ball fast, and it's up to the Jets receivers to win their one-on-ones because it's going to be man coverage. So Garrett Wilson line up against the rookie Banks. Tyler Conklin lined up against the linebacker. They got to win their one-on-ones, and Zach Wilson's got to get rid of the ball fast and early. I think this is going to come down to a collective effort on offense in order to punch it in the end zone multiple times to win this game.
I agree, man, and I think that's, like you said it with how Wink Martindale likes to, play his defense, showing a similar look, but then you never know where you're going to get. You don't know whether the blitz is coming from here or over there, or whether the blitz is not a blitz at all, whether they're going to back off and, rush
it's
four
like the
guys.
opposite of the solid defense.
Yeah, I mean, you kind of know what you're going to get in a Robert Saleh defense. When we're showing blitz, we're blitzing, and when we're not, we're not. And I think that, that's even more of a reason. How the Giants are pretty unpredictable on defense. That's even more of a reason to make it a run-dominant Breece Hall freaking dominating performance from this offensive line and from Breece Hall. Because, we can't, Zach's had a good run of not turning the ball over, not making too many critical errors. But, there's something in the air when it's Jets-Giants. There's always that little hint of I don't know, this is scary, this feels like a trap. So I Zach Wilson needs to protect the ball. He's going to be blitzed a lot, and that's even more of a reason, in my opinion, to freaking feed Breece Hall, ground and pound, get the job done. Starts with the guys up front, obviously, whether we're running the ball or passing the ball. But I think this is going to be a very run dominant, run heavy week. At least from the New York Jets, and then we got Saquon Barkley to deal with on the defensive side of the ball. So I think we're going to see a lot of those two guys, a lot of Breece Hall, a lot of Saquon Barkley this week.
And a quick transition, since we're talking about the running backs, there's a lot of rumors and speculation regarding the Jets at the trade deadline that I kind of want to break down for you guys a little bit. So if you guys saw the report over the weekend, according to Diana Rossini of The Athletic, both Carl Lawson and Dalvin Cook are available. Now, in the trade market. Now, that doesn't mean that both of them are going to get traded. I think Carl Lawson's a little more likely to get traded than Dalvin Cook. But me personally, if you're talking about both of these players, I would rather keep Dalvin Cook and ship off Carl Lawson just because, we're talking about an offense, right? We don't want to be an offense that's like, okay, your offense is great. Let's just ship off Hardman and let's ship off Dalvin Cook and thinking we're good. We don't need them. I know that we have Izzy Abanikanda, which a lot of Jets fans, including myself, want to see. So it's not like you're shipping off Dalvin Cook and you're losing someone. You're kind of getting a fresh young legs and Izzy to get some rhythm behind Breece Hall. But Dalvin Cook is still a multi-time Pro Bowler. I know that he's not kind of flashing onto the pan right here, but Robert Saleh had something interesting to say regarding Dalvin Cook, where he was not here for OTAs, he was not here for training camp, and he kind of compared the first few weeks of the season for Dalvin Cook as his preseason, where he's kind of getting comfortable and they feel like he is, trending in the right direction. They're excited to see Dalvin Cook out there. And can you imagine if all of a sudden, Breece Hall needs a breather. Dalvin Cook comes in and there's no drop-off, and he's picking up first downs. He has explosive 20-yard runs, explosive screen passes. Like, I'd rather keep Dalvin Cook in a season where we're trying to go all in and make the damn postseason. Now, on Carl Lawson's side of things, that makes more sense. He's walking in free agency, the ascension of Jermaine Johnson and Bryce Huff, and then the trade away of Carl Lawson is kind of the same token of, okay, you trade Cook, you're giving the rookie Izzy a chance. Well, if you trade Carl Lawson, you're also giving the rookie Will McDonald a chance. So, Jack, what's your thoughts of the trade rumors? The trade deadline is Tuesday, so we will find out if there's any trades that's going to happen. And maybe this also tells you that both these players could be moved to free up cap space for another big move that we don't even know what's going to happen. So there's a lot of things up in the air.
But yeah, I agree with you in terms of both Dalvin Cook and Carl Lawson. Firstly, I'll touch on Carl Lawson. Yeah, I mean, I think it's more likely that if we were to move on from one of these guys, I think it's more likely that it's going to be Carl Lawson. Simply because he is walking in free agency after this season anyway. While he hasn't necessarily been a bad player for the Jets, his availability has been an issue. And obviously the emergence of Jermaine Johnson, Bryce Huff, throw Will McDonald's name in there as well. Carl Lawson being traded away would give Will McDonald a bigger opportunity to step up and take an increased role on this defense. So I wouldn't mind that at all. I got a lot of love for Carl Lawson. But it is what it is, man. It's a business. He's like we said, he's walking next year anyway. So I wouldn't be super upset if Carl Lawson was to be traded. I wouldn't be super upset if Dalvin Cook was to be traded either, because as Richie smartly mentioned, we do have Izzy Abanikanda just kind of sitting there, waiting in the wings, waiting for his opportunity to go show out. But like Richie said, man, we're in a win now period. You can never have too many good skilled players, especially at the running back position. We've seen Breece Hall go down before, so not saying that obviously there is that drop off, not saying that he would be able to step in and be exactly as good as Breece Hall is if Breece Hall was to go down, God forbid. But imagine, just like Richie said, if Breece Hall needs a breather, Dalvin Cook comes in and he's, just as effective, dare I say, as Breece Hall. Who knows, man? That's a great point that Richie made as well. I'm just kind of echoing everything Richie just said here. But, viewing kind of the first couple weeks as the season, as this preseason period for Dalvin Cook, who obviously got here super, super late into the summer, didn't have a lot of time to acclimate himself to this roster, to this playbook, was just kind of thrown into the fire. Who knows what he's going to look like post-bye week? We're now heading into week 8. It often takes players, a little bit of time to really get into the swing of things. And Dalvin Cook is the type of player where, there's maybe a little bit of a drop off into the player that he once was. But I think, and I've said this on the pod before, I think that we need to just use Dalvin Cook in the right way. I'd rather, not see too many runs in between the tackles for Dalvin Cook. Let's get him the ball outside of the tackles. Let's get him some screen passes sent his way. Let's, have him run a little drag route underneath, or a little in route, or a little out route, something like that. He's so explosive in those situations, and we've seen it before time and time again from Dalvin Cook. So I think there is still a lot that he could potentially bring to the table. Obviously, we might be wrong. We've seen more, lackluster play from Dalvin Cook than we've seen, good, exciting play from Dalvin Cook. That's definitely true. But who knows, man? Like I said, who knows what's going to happen post bye week? It often takes, players some time to really get into the swing of things, especially if you're a running back and you're not getting a heavy workload. You can't really expect the guy to just go in there, get the ball a couple times a game, and be explosive. It takes some volume to get to the level of explosiveness that we want to see out of Dalvin Cook. Now, it's a good problem to have because we also have Breece Hall, who's an absolute monster, who's by far and away the running back one in this tandem of Breece Hall and Dalvin Cook. And that's, like I said, it's a great problem to have. It's you can't, like I said, you can't have too many good skill position players, especially at the running back position. Those guys are constantly getting banged up. So I would definitely like to see Dalvin Cook stick around. Who knows what else he's got left in the tank?
Yeah,
and
I think
it's just a 1 year kind of cheap little thing. So why not?
Yeah, I think we should keep him. And then the next question is there a trade that we're going to go after him? He aggressive, Randall Cobb is on the injured list right now. Who knows if he's going to be able to play. Xavier Gibson's probably going to get an increased role. That the coaching staff are excited about Gibson, which is the biggest reason why they moved Hardman is Gibson. So if I'm the Jets, I'm using Gibson as a weapon, as a receiver, not just in special teams. Are they going to go out there and be aggressive to add a receiver? Because if you think about it, Corey Davis retired. McCall Hardman gets traded. And now Randall Cobb is potentially injured with the shoulder, which doesn't seem serious, by the way. I mean, like, we're talking about a lot of depletion at the wide receiver room all of a sudden. We still got Jason Brownlee, who has not had an opportunity to play, another exciting rookie receiver that made the roster. We know Irvin Charles is more known for special teams, but the wide receiver position is kind of up in the air. And then, of course, the offensive line position as well. The depth is a big issue because of the injuries. I mean, I think the depth deserves some praise a little bit. I mean, you talk about the starting five of week one, and then with all the injuries that we suffered to where we're at now, we've been able to stay afloat. So, like, I give Joe Douglas a lot of credit for the depth that he's created on this offensive line, but the reality is you can only be so deep when you suffer the injuries that the Jets have already suffered. AVT out for the season. Joe Tippmann banged up with a thigh injury. Dwayne Brown on injured reserve. So, like, there's 3 injuries big time on the offensive line already. So we really have to see if the Jets are going to get creative, bring in some familiar faces or someone that can just provide depth, because now on that inside, we're really, really thin. So hopefully they can get healthy and we don't really have to worry about that. Now, getting into more about this Jets and this Giants matchup, like we said at the top of the show, this is the first time that the New York Jets are actually favorited in this game. Now, as you guys know, BetUS is the proud sportsbook sponsor of Jets Media. If you guys want to get a 125% sign-up bonus, you guys can click that link down below in the description and sign up today. Up to $2,500, you guys will get it. So 125% sign-up bonus when you sign up today. BetUS is very reliable sportsbook. You can bet on football, basketball seasons here, even horse racing. So we're going to hear a quick word from BetUS. Here we go.
BetUS, America's favorite sportsbook, where you can bet on everything anytime. Sportsbook, casino, horse racing, live betting, and more. We have the best bonuses in the industry. That's right, get a 125% sign-up bonus. And to celebrate our 30-year anniversary, we are giving up to 30 risk-free bets, a truck, Super Bowl tickets, and more. Don't miss out. Play smart. Join now. BetUS, where the game begins.
So again, guys, all the odds are presented by BetUS, the official sportsbook sponsor of Jets Media. And if you look at the line right here, 3-point favorites the New York Jets are. And then over-under is very interesting at 36.5. That's extremely low.
Yeah.
They are predicting a low-scoring game, and you can argue that that's true. I mean, both defenses, especially the Jets defense, has been just elite this year, and the Giants defense is trending in the right direction. So, like, Jack, do you think this is going to go over or under that 36.5?
Yeah, it's a low one, man. I mean, I could see.
I honestly think it's going to go over just because of how low it is. Like, I think it's going to be a low-scoring game, but not that low-scoring. I mean,
36.5. Like, it is low, but then you break it down. Like, I could picture it being like, 20-16 Jets, and that, under hits.
Yeah.
So it is low, but when you think of it like that, it's not that low. So yeah, I mean, I could see it going both ways, to be honest with you, because it's kind of right on the cusp. 20-16, the under hits, 20-17, the over hits. So
overrated Giants defense. We're scoring 30 on them. Come on now.
We're in on the over then, baby.
Nah, man, I'm just joking.
Hammering
around.
that over.
But let us know in the comments, guys, what you think. Over, under 36.5. And then, of course, a 3-point spread. I think that -3 is definitely a good get for the Jets in this one. And they're favorites at the money line. I've never seen the Jets have minus in my life this season.
Yeah.
Even last year, it's hard. I'm not
Maybe
used
in your
to
life
seeing,
ever.
Not used to seeing the Jets being favorites in a football game. But again, guys, if you want to make your bets, please remind yourself. I want to remind everybody, bet responsibly. We are very thankful to be sponsored by these sports books, but I do want to remind everybody that we expect you all to be responsible with these odds and with these awesome deals that we're giving you guys with a 125% sign-up bonus. And if you have any issues with gambling, you can always reach out to me. There's also a hotline that you can reach out to, 1-800-GAMBLING. So we do appreciate you guys supporting Jets Media and supporting the sponsors here of Jets Media. That just so happens to be BetUS Sportsbook. Now, getting into more of the nitty and the gritty of this matchup, Robert Saleh versus Brian Daboll. Now, this is an interesting matchup because I think people forget that Brian Daboll won Coach of the Year last year. Doesn't kind of feel that way based off of what's happened this season. And Robert Saleh is really trying to prove himself as the guy for these New York Jets. I think that a big knock on Robert Saleh that some people have been bringing up recently is his ability to have this team come out flat after the bye week, right? That's what happened last year. Year one, the Jets actually got better as the season went on, but we just started off so slow, so it didn't really matter at the end. So definitely all eyes are on Robert Saleh right now, because the bye week collapse was real last season. You can argue the injuries and everything, and I get that Breece Hall and AVT going down kind of hurt this entire season because that's how we were winning was Breece Hall. And then when he went down, and then the whole Zach Wilson spiraling, and then the Mike White injury. I mean, it was a big mess last season. But the reality is there's no excuse this year. You look at the schedule right now, the Jets have to make a playoff push, and it starts this Sunday against the New York Giants, okay? Now, there's a big rivalry here. And I believe it is a rivalry, even though they just play once every 4 seasons, because you turn on WFAN, I mean, all it is this week is just Giants fans blabbering, Deontay Banks is better than Sauce Gardner, Kayvon Thibodeau is better than Jermaine Johnson, and then it's the other side. The Jets are like, Zach Wilson's better than Daniel Jones. I mean, it's just like a continuous just blah, 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 blah. We're New York fans, so it's like we're all passionate, we're all toxic, and that's what makes New York sports so beautiful. So what's your thoughts about this rivalry, Jack, and your overall thoughts of like the Brian Daboll versus Robert Saleh matchup?
First of all, for damn sure, it's a rivalry, man. I mean, we play in the same stadium, for God's sake, dude. It is a rivalry. I'll tell you why it's also a rivalry, because throughout my entire life, the Jets have been the little brother of the Giants, you know, the little punching bag that Giants fans look down on and laugh upon. Giants fans, you know, Richie and I are 25 years old. If we were Giants fans, we would have witnessed 2 Super Bowls in our lifetime. They've had 4 in total to the Jets 1. And the Jets' attendance for Jets home games is actually better than the Giants is for their home games. Boom. So that tells you that Jets fans, regardless of 1 Lombardi trophy versus 4 Lombardi trophies from the team that we literally share a stadium with, Jets fans show up and show out and are more loyal than Giants fans. Dare I say it? Boom, I said it. Come at me in the comments.
Giants fans are kind of like arrogant and entitled. That's kind of the words I like to use.
Yeah, you know, like that's what I'm saying. They've seen championship runs in our lifetime, you know? So regardless of, you know, I mean, over the last 5 years, the Giants, believe it or not, have actually been worse than the Jets. But, you know, a Giants fan will never admit that, nor does it ever feel that way to Giants fans.
And also,
I think
since
because
this is
of
the
these
Olympics,
championships.
Since it's the Olympics that we like to call it, as every 4 years, you kind of want those bragging rights for 4 years. That's a long time to be able to brag. And the Jets have been able to brag for 8 years, and we want that extend that to 12 years, and they got to get this W. I mean, like outside of the rivalry just in New York City, this has a lot of implications for both teams. I mean, if the Giants lose, you can argue their season's pretty much over. Mm-hmm. The season feels over already, but like all of a sudden, if the Giants do win this game, then they got the Raiders next week. They can get to 4-5 if they win these next 2 games for the Giants, and their season's all of a sudden back. But from the Jets' perspective, we have a chance here. I mean, we're 3-3 right now. The Bills play tonight, so we'll see what happens. But like, there's a chance for this Jets team to not only make a wildcard push, but to make a run in the AFC East. And the only way the Jets have a chance to make a run for the AFC East title is winning the games you're supposed to win. We beat teams that we're not supposed to beat, like the Eagles and apparently the Bills. We're this close to being the Chiefs, right? We fall to the New England Patriots, which still stings to this day. But the Jets got to take advantage of a team in the New York Giants who have offensive line issues. And I know that the Giants are getting healthy, and it's kind of like not in our favor because we're used to seeing the Giants getting obliterated by these teams. But the reality is the Giants are trending up, but also the Jets are trending up. So there's no excuse here for these two teams to meet at this given moment. Now, it's a New York Giants home game, so there's going to be a lot more blue in the stands, but I guarantee you there's going to be a lot of Jets fans there representing our New York Jets. Now, big keys matchups to watch in this one. When you talk about this Jets defense, the only thing I'm worried about on the Giants offense is Saquon Barkley, to be honest with you. And since Tyrod Taylor's playing, I will have to give some Darren Waller credit here because the Jets have given up 5 passing touchdowns, and I'm pretty sure they're all to tight ends. Like, we do not give up touchdowns to wide receivers. The only touchdowns we give up to is running backs and tight ends through the air. So those are the two guys I'm looking out for the Jets defense to hone in on, Saquon Barkley and Darren Waller. Their wide receivers, the rookie Jalen Hyatt, I know Giants fans really love him. They got talent at wide receiver, but that's not what I'm worried about. I'm more worried about Saquon Barkley and Darren Waller and containing and forcing pressure up in the middle to Tyrod Taylor.
I agree, man. I think, obviously there's potentially a bit of a, I don't know if you can call it that yet, but potentially there's a bit of a quarterback controversy brewing for the Giants because, Tyrod Taylor has not played perfect, but he's played better than Daniel Jones has played so far this year. Daniel Jones, I don't know if you guys realize how awful Daniel Jones has really been this year.
2 touchdowns, 6 picks.
2 touchdowns to 6 interceptions for Daniel Jones this year, which is just pathetic, man. And it would be one thing if, it was like a Zach Wilson situation where there's, not $100 million plus allocated towards this one player.
Difference.
But Daniel Jones is being paid like a franchise guy, and he's not even coming anywhere close to playing at the level that he's being paid for. So that's a problem for them. So I guess you can say there is a little bit of a quarterback controversy brewing there for the New York Giants. And I will say, man, I think Zach Wilson has the advantage in this matchup, whether it's, whether he's playing Daniel Jones or whether he's playing Tyrod Taylor. Man, I don't know why that name just went blank from my mind. But I think Zach Wilson has the advantage. I mean, he's playing with better skill position players around him, and he's just playing better football than Daniel Jones was ever playing at any point throughout this season. Which is kind of mind blowing. I still can't believe, that the Giants have had the season that they've had. Guys, they went to the divisional round of the playoffs last year.
Got smoked.
They got smoked, but they went to the playoffs and won a playoff game in the wild card round. So for their season to be going the way it is after what happened last year, again, you mentioned Brian Daboll, Coach of the Year. This is a must-win game for the Giants, but for the Jets as well. I mean, for very different reasons. The Giants need to get some sort of life back into their season to see if they even have a season. I think we can all say for sure that the Giants' season is over if they lose this game.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, the Jets, I guess you can say, can afford to lose this game, but they really can't because, like I said earlier in the pod, it is now time for us to go out there and prove that we can beat the teams that we're supposed to beat.
Yeah, and I think a loss in this game would kind of just make you feel like, okay, now we have to win the next 2. I think the way I look at it, the next 3 games are winnable, and we got to win 2 of the next 3 games minimum. Right?
We got to go 2-1 at least. 3-0.
Ideally 3-0, but like I don't want to sound like, we're about to win 5 straight, because remember, we're already on a 2-game winning streak. I don't want to sound too crazy here.
We did it last year.
We did do it last year. We won 4 straight last season, so it's not far-fetched, but the reality is, if the Jets do lose in this game, it's not going to be a dagger in our heart like it would be for the Giants, but it still would sting because we want to be taken seriously. We're on our high horse beating the Eagles. We have to beat our crosstown rivals. The only game I'm concerned about the most at these next 3 is probably the Chargers. So we got to beat the Giants.
They stink.
I know that. They're 2-4, but like it's just like it's such a talented team, and we'll save the Giants for the Chargers for next week. But another key matchup in this game that if the Jets just want to take over, it's simple. And I know that they're getting healthier, but it's the Jets' defensive line against the Giants' offensive line. Now, the Giants might be getting Andrew Thomas back. They might be getting John Michael Schmitz back, which would be big additions to their offensive line. And they've been like an absolute dumpster fire this entire season. A lot of reasons for it is their, injuries. Evan Neal at right tackle has been just an absolute bum. So, like, disaster. I'm looking at Jermaine Johnson, Bryce Huff lining up on that side. Andrew Thomas, I know that he's a stud, but he's probably a little rusty coming off some injuries. The rookie center matched up against Quinnen Williams. I like that matchup. So if the Jets want to take care of business, I think it comes down to our defensive line. And you look at the stats, man. The New York Jets blitz the second least in the NFL, and we are first in the league in pressures. I mean, that is what the system is all about. 4-man pass rush abilities. We have the ability to twist and stunt, throw in some blitzes here and there, sprinkle it in. We do not rely on blitzes to get to the quarterback. You drop down 7 in coverage while there's 4 people getting to the quarterback at an efficient rate. That's what makes this defense that freaking good. But my question for the defense is, can we get off to a hot start, right? Last week against the Giants-Commanders game, the offense for the Giants started off red hot. They scored 2 touchdowns, and then they kind of fizzled out in the second half. They stunk, the Giants' offense. So I'm looking at this Jets defense. Can we protect the end zone? Can we protect freaking the Giants for going down the field and scoring and not give our offense any time to kind of feel like they have to come back, because all 3 victories the Jets have are come from behind victories. Can this be the first time we start hot and like from the first quarter we feel good about it and we kind of cruise through the game and not say we blow them out by 4 scores, but we just like get a 10-3 lead and we protect it and we win the game 24-17 or something like that? Is it too much to ask for?
Nope.
I mean, that's all I want is just like a game where we start it hot and we finish it hot. I can't complain because the Jets defense, right, they start slow, but like it seems like they're a defense that just basically adjusts on the fly, and that's what gets them so good. They're like, oh, okay, that's your game plan? Mid-game adjustments has been like borderline fantastic. And they're also a defense that does a 10-deep rotation on defensive line, which gives them the ability to stay fresh in the fourth quarter, which is another reason why their defense gets better as the game progresses. But in this one, I'm really hoping that the defense can contain this offense, because I don't care what we saw from the Giants against the Bills and the Commanders. Their offense still stunk in both of them, and they're arguably one of the worst offenses in the NFL. And I know that Saquon's back, which adds a new layer, but the Jets defense, this is a game where they got to continue to show their dominance of why they're the top unit in the NFL.
Absolutely, man. I mean, if there was ever a week for the Jets defense to really show up and show out, it's this week, man. Because like you said, the Giants are very one-dimensional on offense. Outside of Saquon Barkley and the occasional appearance from Darren Waller, when Tyrod Taylor's at quarterback, at least, who are you scared of? Jalen Hyatt? No, that offense has got some.
Wait, but Jack, you didn't see
do.
Jalen Hyatt beat Sauce on a preseason incompletion? You didn't see that play? Dude, that was elite, dude. Jalen Hyatt's a dog.
Bum. Dude, Jalen Hyatt, bum.
I went after some Giants fans on Twitter a couple days ago. They were tweeting like, name a better offensive tackle and defensive tackle duo. And it was a picture of Andrew Thomas and Dexter Lawrence. Quote tweeted it with Mekhi Becton and Quinnen Williams. Give me a break. And then another one was like, who's stopping this wide receiver core? And I'm like, bro, quote tweeting it with Sauce Gardner, DJ Reed, and Michael Carter II. I almost quote tweeted it with
the
like
Giants. Who's stopping the Giants wide receiver core? Who in the world would tweet something like that, dude?
Nah, they're crazy. And listen, and I respect it. It's not like I don't understand why they're doing it. I totally understand.
Of course,
like
we're crazy fans as well.
Big fans, and it's funny because like those same Giants fans are probably just Knicks fans as well. So like we have some alignment, and like I get it, totally understand it where they're coming from. But I gotta troll them. There's this one Giants Twitter account that I see over and over and over and over again. I'm like, I'm so sick of seeing this guy on my feed. I don't even follow him. I gotta freaking just like kill him. And that's exactly what he did. And he actually responded to the tweet of like, who's stopping this wide receiver core? And then I quote tweeted with our secondary. He responded like, yeah, right. And then it was a video of Jalen Hyatt, a double move, barely beating Sauce Gardner on like a 2 yards of separation, and the ball goes out of bounds. And I'm like, are you seriously talking about a preseason incompletion? You're sad, bro.
That's a reach, man, if I've ever seen one. People love to reach when it comes to defending their players, which I get. Like you said, we get it. We understand. We are crazy fans as well, just of the other New York team.
Yeah, so it's totally relatable.
Totally relatable. But going back to this matchup here, speaking about the Jets defense versus the Giants offense, this defensive line in particular, and you hit the nail right on the head, Rich, this defensive line absolutely needs to show up. I mean, like you said, yes, they might be getting Andrew Thomas back. He's a stud. Yes, they might be getting John Michael Schmitz back. Everybody was a big fan of him throughout the draft process this past offseason. But either way, even if it's against a rookie center or a backup center, Quinnen Williams is about to feast. And whoever we line up on the right side against Evan Neal's bum ass is about to feast, dude, because Evan Neal looks lost, bro. Evan Neal looks like he has no idea what he's doing. Evan Neal looks like he forgot how to play the game of football. Looks like he forgot how to play right tackle. I mean, there's some bad tape on Evan Neal in this year alone.
We got Bryce Huff coming off the edge, dude, Jermaine Johnson, even John Franklin Myers.
Extend that, man, first of all. But second of all, whoever we got coming off the edge on the right side, and it's going to be more than one guy, obviously. Man, right side of this defensive line is about to have a day.
Oh, 100%. And I think that the defense, I'm just so excited to watch them play. They've been so fun to watch. Like, I don't think we realize how good this defense is on paper now. When you look at how they compare to the rest of the NFL, you can argue the Jets have the best defensive line in the NFL. You can argue they have the best linebacker duo in the NFL. And you can argue they have the best cornerback room in the NFL. Like, that's crazy. Like, all three levels. And then the safety tandem, they're not the best in the NFL, but Jordan Whitehead has
They've
a 3
balled out
interception
so
game.
far this year.
Tony Adams with the play of the season, you can argue.
Man.
So, like, the safeties are coming together, and, like, it's just a fun joy to watch. And I give all the credit in the world to Robert Saleh and the defensive coaching staff with Jeff Ulbrich and those boys to get these guys ready. And I know that we talked about this on Monday, but the biggest reason for this Jets defense, in my opinion, to excel at this level is continuity. Right?
Yep.
Year 3 in the system is something special here. And Saleh always talks about year 3. Even when he got here, he would bring up year 3. And it's cool to see we're in year 3 with the system. We have Quinton Williams in year 3 with the system. Quincy Williams in year 3 with the system. CJ Mosley in year 3 with the system. Other guys in year 2, like Sauce and DJ Reed. It's like, it's true. The continuity is really their superpower. And it's so beautiful to watch that this defense is probably going to get even better and better as the season goes on. And talk about continuity, the offense doesn't have that, but what they do have is 6 weeks of experience. And I think that the offense, this is their time to kind of gel together a little bit more. And I think that we've talked about it enough. We know it's all about the red zone. We get that. But there's other elements to this offense that I just want to see more. I want to see more aggression. I want to see more shots down the field. Like that shot that Zach Wilson took down the right sideline, backed up in our own end zone against the Eagles to Garrett Wilson. We need more of that. We don't see more shots. And like if Aaron Rodgers was the quarterback, that's all we would be seeing is him flicking that thing down the field. So like Zach has the arm, and I want him to be more aggressive, and that's up to the coaching staff to allow him to do just that. So
I think we'll probably see that now. I think, I'm going to give the coaches the benefit of the doubt here. And because you said it right there, man. If Aaron Rodgers was our quarterback, we'd be throwing the ball all over the freaking field, throwing deep shot after deep shot. And I have a feeling that if Aaron Rodgers was our quarterback, McCole Hardman would still be a Jet and would have, had some touchdowns on the year and some big plays and things like that. But I digress. But I think what I was going to say when I originally brought up this point, I think that, leading into the bye week, the Jets are like, okay, Aaron Rodgers is no longer the guy. We're rolling with Zach Wilson. Zach Wilson is in this new playbook. We need to be very cautious with Zach Wilson. At the time, it was still, the Zach Wilson of last year, the turnover machine, the guy who couldn't throw an accurate check down pass, all that terrible stuff. That seems to be changed, and while he's not a great player by any means, he's improved in the areas where he needs to improve in. So now that he's had 6 games to acclimate to what it's like to be the starting quarterback in this Nathaniel Hackett system, has had the bye week to sit back and really do his homework and really get ready. At least we hope this is what he's doing for the remaining games on the slate of this year. I think now, hopefully, after the bye week, after we've seen 6 games from Zach Wilson in the Nathaniel Hackett offense, I think this is finally, hopefully, where we can let it fly and we can see Zach Wilson consistently throwing deep balls. And the playbook is not limited to whatever. I think we can finally, hopefully, see this offense become what it was meant to be with Aaron Rodgers. And I'm not saying that Zach Wilson is going to go out there and play as good as Aaron Rodgers could have played. I'm just saying that there's enough time that has passed now where we can go out there
100%.
and see what this offense is really meant to be. There's every play in the playbook is available to be called. There's no more, we can't do this because we have Zach and we don't have Aaron. No, that's all out the window. So I think enough time has passed now where we can hopefully really see the full potential of this offense through the air. Because, at first, and for good reason, based on his, stats historically, I think they were, scared shitless of letting Zach Wilson just throw the ball wherever he wanted to throw the ball, thinking that he would, throw 5 interceptions a game. That hasn't been the case. So now post-bye week, I think we can hopefully really see an offensive explosion, not from just the players, but from Nathaniel Hackett, from the guys calling the plays. I think that now we can finally see this playbook really open up and hopefully see the offense really come to life and be the offense that we expected it to be before the season began.
Yeah, I agree. I think that 6 weeks of Hackett learning not only Zach Wilson's tendencies, but the entire offense around him. And, like, I think there's still layers to the offense that needs to be implemented. And I think Xavier Gibson is someone I'm, like, really excited about. Like, I think that he needs to be involved as a slot receiver, get him the ball. Tyler Conklin has been a dog. Like, Mekhi Becton, I mean, has been quietly just a stud. I mean, he has been an absolute dog so far. Like, again, it's very rare for an offensive tackle to be a highlight reel, and he is a living highlight reel. So it's really exciting to watch Mekhi Becton develop and stay healthy. And then, you know, the running back room, we can break down the offense all you want, but the reality is they've been moving the ball. It's not like we're not getting first downs. I think they got to be better on third down, and I think that starts with being better on first and second down, because the Jets find themselves in third and long opportunities way too often, which results in, like, negative plays. So, you know, getting to the red zone, you know, Greg the Leg, we love you, but we don't want to see you kick field goals, okay? So let's punch it in the end zone. Now, before we finish off the show, we talked about the Giants, we talked about a lot of other things, but I do want to break down the schedule that's remaining for this Jets team, because it's pretty interesting, and I know that we are, you know, thinking ahead a little bit too much, because we have to get through the Giants before we can really break down the rest of the schedule.
We gotta smoke the Giants.
But, like, if you look at the schedule here, the Jets are 3-3, and there's 11 games left. So, like, I don't know. Let us know in the comment section, guys. Let us know if you're watching it on the premiere or you're listening to it. Tweet us it out. You know, add us on Twitter at NYJets_media. But what do you predict the record to be at the end of the year? Because, it's
Look how this schedule lightens up, dude. It really is crazy, the absolute gauntlet that we went through to start the season. And obviously you got some teams on here that look better than people thought they did. I'm talking, you know, Falcons, Texans, the Browns, with or without Deshaun Watson, are a team that plays such phenomenal defense and can run the ball that they're always going to be a threat. And obviously we still can't find a way to beat the New England Patriots. But, I mean, Giants, Chargers, Raiders, we've already beaten the Bills. I'm not afraid of the Dolphins. Falcons, Texans, Dolphins again, Commanders who stink, Browns who's winnable, Patriots who we better freaking beat. I mean, I don't want to talk crazy here, man, but if everything goes according to plan, and obviously every team plans on winning every game, but if everything goes according to plan, dude, we could go on a crazy freaking run at the end of the season, man. Look at that schedule. The next 3 games, we better go 3-0. Richie said 2-1 minimum. Screw that. We better go 3-0.
Well, you know what 3-0 means? 5-0.
Yeah.
Because we're already on a 2-game win streak.
That's fine. I don't, it's, you know.
No, I'm just saying, that's sick.
I'm taking it week by week, baby. I'm taking it week by week. You know what? Why not us? Why can't the Jets win 5 in a row?
My question to you is, what do you think? How many wins do the Jets need to win the AFC East? With the Dolphins already at 5-2, with the Bills at 4-3, potentially, you know, the game tonight they can get to 5-3 if they win. Like, I think if the Jets want to win the division, they, like, have to go on a winning streak. Like, I'm talking division right now. There's still a chance for the Jets to make the playoffs for the wild card. But, like, let me just dream big here, because the AFC East is up for grabs, but the Miami Dolphins are at 5-2, and they have the lead here. But we're just 1 game back from the Dolphins in the loss column. They got 2 losses. We have 3 losses, okay? So I think in order for the Jets to win the division, first of all, we have to sweep the Bills, and we have to minimum split with the Dolphins and beat the Patriots, right? And if we really want to win the division, you got to sweep the Dolphins, which is kind of hard to predict there. So I think that the Jets, the only way they win a division, they got to go on a crazy run and win 12 games, 12, 13 games, which is, like, kind of, like, unrealistic. But, hey, you never know.
Yeah, I mean, I was shocked that you even asked me that. I don't think the Jets are going to win the division this year. I think that, you know, our best chance was with a healthy Aaron Rodgers, and, you know, we've kind of shot ourselves in the foot, taking that bad loss to New England, getting steamrolled by the Cowboys. And, you know, we were right there against the Kansas City Chiefs. Damn it, do I want that game back more than anything. Because that would be huge, you know, for the conference as well, even though the Chiefs are just murdering every team they play week after week. But, yeah, dude, I mean, I guess you're right. I mean, to win the division, it is far-fetched, but it is possible when you look at how the Bills have been playing throughout the last couple weeks. The Dolphins, every time they see a real defense, they, you know, don't play up to standard. Our defense is definitely one of the top units in the league, so those games are going to be very interesting to watch.
The only way we win the division at this point, we have to sweep the Dolphins, which is a tall task, I think.
We absolutely – I think everything you said about our remaining division games are right in terms of wanting to win the division. We got to beat Buffalo, so that means a sweep of the Bills, which would – I mean, how amazing would that be? Talk about bragging rights, dude. Come on.
Oh, my
Sorry,
God.
Dan.
5-1 in the division. The only loss to the Patriots, dude. Can you imagine that?
Oh my
Now,
Lord.
it's hard to predict that because going to Miami is going to be tough. I mean, I know we have to beat them at home first on Black Friday, but like the path to the division is winning your division games, and that's what it comes down to. And like you talk about the Miami Dolphins, they're a great team, and I
think going to Miami in December is a blessing for any NFL team. You know, it's one less game that the Jets have to play on that freezing cold, horrible turf.
The last 3 games are going to be in freezing cold. At home and versus the Commanders in Cleveland, and then in Foxborough.
Yeah.
To finish off the season.
that trip to Miami, I think, is going to be a blessing for this team. I think they're already probably looking forward to that. But yeah, it's a tough place to play. You know, I mean, the Jets this year kind of flipped the script, and all of a sudden we're this team that dominates at home. Where I feel like last year you didn't want to see the Jets on the road, man. The Jets were like this road freaking powerhouse, at least in the beginning of the year before the season kind of crumbled.
And then you look at the schedule too. We have 3 straight home games when we go back home against the Dolphins, right? We're on the road this week against the Giants, which kind of feels like a home game. Primetime football against the Chargers Monday night. And a reminder, all the big games that the Jets have played defensively against these top quarterbacks has come on primetime at MetLife Stadium. So that's going to be a fun game.
You know,
and then on the road Sunday night, and then in Buffalo, and then 3 straight home games: Dolphins, Falcons, Texans. Like those 3 games could be a difference of this team making the wild card or not.
I just realized why you said before that there's going to be a lot of blue in the stands on Sunday. But I'm like, well, there's, it's both of our stadiums. But I just realized because it's a home game for the Giants, so Jets season ticket holders are not.
Exactly.
They don't get their tickets that day.
Yeah, it's
so
Giants
so it's
season
it is going to be heavy. It's all the Giants season ticket holders. Obviously there is going to be a big mix, but let's go through it by game. Giants, got to be a dub. Chargers, got to be a dub. Raiders, got to be a dub.
So right there,
Sorry.
6-3.
6-3. Bills, got to be a dub.
7-3.
7-3. Dolphins, I'll go loss. Dolphins, 7-4.
Same place where we were last year, by the way, 7-4.
Falcons, that's got to be a win. 8-4. Texans, that's got to be a win.
9-4.
Dolphins, that's got to be a win.
10-4.
We're not getting swept by the Dolphins. We're 10-4. Commanders, that's got to be a win. 11-4. Browns, I'll take an L against the Browns.
11-5.
11-5. And then Patriots, I mean, you know what I'm going to say here. It's got to be a win.
12-5.
But if it's not a win,
11
we're
wins.
we're still at 11 wins. So we can, in this crazy scenario that I'm bringing into the universe right now, even though this would be the worst thing of all time to lose to the Patriots again and get swept by that sorry-ass team this year, we can put ourselves in a position with the schedule we have before that final Patriots game where a loss, the last week of the season wouldn't be.
And who knows? Maybe the Dolphins are like at 11 wins as well. And if the Dolphins lose and we beat the Patriots, we actually win the division. Like that could be a.
Yeah, it's going to be a very interesting way that this AFC East shakes out this year. I think I'll tell you one thing, whether it's the Jets or the Dolphins, I don't think the Buffalo Bills are going to win the AFC East this year. I
really don't.
I think they're the last 3 years they've won the division?
Yeah.
I think their 3-year run is over this year. Sorry, Dan Mitchell. Sorry, Bills fans.
And I said that like in August, like on the roundtable.
You've been saying that,
I've been
dude.
saying that.
You've been on the Bills or trash wave. And
I wasn't even
love
like trying to hate on them. I was just looking at their team. Like, what have they done in the offseason to move the needle for me? And Josh Allen's contract is about to kick in. And now they're all injuries on their defense, which kind of made them a threat. Milano's gone. Trey White's gone. Von Miller's washed. Sorry. But, like, yeah, Josh Allen you got to rely on Josh Allen to be a superhero for them to win.
At least the Bills, I was just about to say, at least the Bills are super versatile on offense and have, like, 80 different ways they could beat you on offense.
They don't run the ball. And Josh Allen has to be a superhero, which is why he's so bad against the Jets, because we do not allow. Can I give you a stat real quick? The New York Jets have not allowed a 300-yard passer since week 3 against the Bengals last season.
Wow. That is impressive, man.
300 yards through the air has not happened against the Jets defense since week 3 against the Bengals last year, which is like how many games in a row? I don't know.
Think about the teams we've played since then.
Dude, I mean, it's ridiculous.
We've played Buffalo 3 times since then. We've played the Chiefs since then. We've played Jalen Hurts since then.
We've played a lot of people since then. I mean, the reality is this Jets defense, and I love how the narrative last year was like, oh, the Jets defense, they only versus backup quarterbacks. Like, that's why Sauce was so good. That's why your defense was so good. Because, again, we versed the backup Broncos quarterback. We versed the backup Bears quarterback. And that was the narrative last year. Oh,
Not only did we beat the Eagles starters, we beat the Eagles starters with our backups. Yeah, so say something to us now.
It's ridiculous, and I absolutely love how that narrative completely got killed.
Complete 180.
And I'm like, dude, like, first of all, you can only play who's on your schedule, and second of all, like give us any quarterback, and we will kill them. Like, I've never seen, the only time the Jets defense gets beat, the best quarterback I've seen against this Jets defense so far was Dak Prescott. And that was just like dinking and dunking, getting rid of the ball very fast. And you got to give him credit, man. That was like the best Dak Prescott game of his life, it felt like. And that's what it felt like, a fluke. And like those games happen. And he didn't even get 300 yards in that game. And like the 2 touchdowns he had were a little
I mean, that
flimsy
game,
tight ends.
Let's call it like it is. That game was a disgrace. I mean, we let CeeDee Lamb look like, Randy Moss.
Yeah,
that game.
That whole game from all phases of the ball. It was just like we're on an emotional high, beating the Bills. Aaron Rodgers is done, and then we go to Dallas and get steamrolled. I mean, that was just a bad. That was the only game where you're like coming out of it thinking like, damn, we had no chance. The other losses that we had to the Chiefs and the Patriots, it was right there.
We also witnessed the Cowboys embarrass the Giants the week before that. What was that, 40-0?
Yeah,
week 1 of the season. So we were like, we kind of knew what we were in for going into that game. But here we are, man. We got the Giants coming up, not the Cowboys. We got the team that the Cowboys hung 40 on week 1.
Please beat the Giants.
So we must beat the Giants, man. We must beat the Giants. Our defensive line will expose them. I don't care if it's Andrew Thomas, if it's John Michael Schmitz.
Why did I have more confidence going into the Eagles game than I do against the Giants?
Because we're Jet fans, man. We know how this team can break our heart at any given moment. I still think about 3 years. I think it was 3 years ago. Somebody will correct me if I'm wrong. But the Bengals, before the Joe Burrow era begun, were garbage. We're the worst team in the league. We're on their way to the first overall pick where they drafted Joe Burrow. And we gave them their first win of the season. They were 0-11. And we got them to 1-11. So I'm not, saying the Giants are better than that team, than that Bengals team as well. So
and they're trending up.
This is not going to be a walk in the park.
Saquon's playing good. Waller's playing good. Tyrod Taylor's better than Daniel Jones.
It's a must-win for both teams. So the Giants are going to be playing their asses off. Nobody wants to be in. This is a home game for both teams. Nobody wants to be embarrassed.
The Jets get to be in their own locker room.
Yeah, nobody wants to be embarrassed. Playing against their crosstown rival, playing in their own stadium. Nobody wants to be embarrassed like that. So both of these teams are going to be freaking coming at it with a full head of steam. I can't wait to watch this freaking game, man. I'm so excited to watch this game.
1 o'clock.
I need it to just be 1 o'clock on Sunday already, man.
It's going to be great, man. We're going to be live here on the channel, of course, on YouTube, right out of the gate, 12:30 p.m. Eastern time. And it's going to be a crazy live show because a lot of implications go into this game because the Jets have a chance to get back over 500, and hopefully that's the time where we get over 500 and we never look back, and then we are over 500 for the rest of the season because, listen, man, without Aaron Rodgers, this Jets team is ready to go make a playoff run, and that's all we can ask for. The moment Rodgers went down in that first quarter against the Bills, every Jets fan thought the same thing. Oh my gosh, it's all over. And then somehow, some way, they pulled off that win. And in that moment when we won that game, I know that we're in a devastating feeling of losing Rodgers, but that win kind of just enlightened something in me. It was like, wow, this season might be something special. Like, even without Rodgers, this might be something special. And I feel like there's a chance for that to happen. We have become America's team. The 3 highest rated games have been all New York Jets. Okay, the best game so far this season, the most watched game, Jets-Eagles. Second most watched game, Jets-Chiefs. Third most watched games, Jets-Bills. I mean, we are America's team now. Everyone's tuning in. Everyone's interested in the New York Jets, which is really cool in a national scope. And Zach Wilson has become a quarterback that's been very likable nationwide. I'm not even talking about, I feel like people like him more outside of Jets fans. Like, you know what I mean? Like, Jets fans can't hate Zach Wilson, majority of them. But, like, outside of Jets fans, the NFL fan base, like, looks at Zach as this underdog. He's a mature guy now. He's not, blaming anybody else. He's holding himself accountable. He has some swag to him. He's banged some, his best friend's mom. Like, there's elements of Zach Wilson that's likable outside of the Jets fan base, which is kind of like fun. It's like, oh wow, we have NFL fans that are rooting for the Jets. They see us as this like Cinderella story.
Yeah, and it's kind of weird, man. It's a feeling that we're not used to as Jets fans. having our team, and obviously it's mainly because, Aaron Rodgers came to town this offseason. But I mean, look at, while the schedule is still on the screen here, look at the time slot for the next 2 games. I mean, we got 1 p.m. this week, but then we're Monday night against the Chargers, and then back on Sunday Night Football, man. How many?
And I will be there.
12 years without Sunday Night Football, and then all of a sudden we get 2 Sunday Night Football games in a season. So it's the power of Aaron Rodgers, but it's also the power of being a fan of a New York sports team when there is hype around it. There's nothing like, Richie and I are Knicks fans as well. There is nothing like, the hype around a New York City sports team when there is optimism, when they're doing well. There is nothing like that.
And, dude,
so
I'll say
we're seeing
this.
the effects of that this year.
I'll say this to finish off the pod. I've been to Knicks playoff games, and that has been probably the biggest atmosphere I've ever been to in a sporting event. But that week 1 game for the Jets-Bills, that atmosphere, I've never in my life seen MetLife Stadium like that.
I didn't know MetLife could
know
pop off like that.
Like, on
dude.
the outside,
Genuinely.
MetLife looks like shit, but then you go into the stadium and you see, like, the lights and the prime time and the sounds and, like, everything. It's like, wow, this fan base deserves a winner, and hopefully they can continue that, and we can continue to show that we have actually a home field advantage here, which we have proven so far. So, guys, that's going to wrap up this podcast. We really genuinely appreciate you guys tuning in to Jets Media. If you're stayed all the way to the end on YouTube, please, if you did not already, hit that like button. Make sure you do that, and rate us down below on the Apple and Spotify podcast, which is linked down below in the description. Always a pleasure. We got content coming your way all throughout the week, of course. We're inching close to 20K, so subscribe if you're new. We appreciate you guys. And Jack, let's go Jets. Am I right?
Let's go JETS, Jets, baby. Beat the freaking sorry-ass New York Giants. This is our town. This is our stadium. This is our team. Let's go.
Let's go, JETS.
Jets.